Tasmai Shri Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Pishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakatam Mayam Tadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagadatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sati Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Purijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shirada Krishna Padan Saha Gana Lalita Shri Vishavikamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vihevacha Paridnam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nithananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Hare Krishna. Letting Mother Gayatri. Okay, so text 11 of chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme. Just I had a little quick look before, and Krishna's addressing here in these verses, at least from, where is it? 11 to 13. He's addressing the Yoga Mishra Bhaktas. That means Bhaktas, they have devotion to Krishna, but it's mixed through dependence on the practice of yoga as opposed to bhakti itself. So bhakti, yoga, mishra, yeah, which means, yeah, it's mishra means it's tainted with the practice of yoga, seeing that as being, or having, seeing yoga as a means to obtain Krishna. So Krishna's attracting them, and he's speaking in their language here, in these verses here. So if Mother Mongol has his hand up, is that for reading? Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
possible.
Excuse me.
Text 11.
Yeah.
Ya aksharam veda vido vadanti vishanti yad yattayo vitaragaha yad ichanto brahmacharyam charanti tat te padam sangrahena pravakshiye. Maybe. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Purport. Lord Shri Krishna has recommended to Arjuna the practice of such chakra yoga, in which one places the air of life between the eyebrows. Taking it for granted that Arjuna might not know how to practice Sat Chakra Yoga, the Lord explained the process in the following verses. The Lord said that Brahman, although one with a second, has various manifestations of futures, especially for the impersonalist. The Akshara or Omkara, the syllables Om, is identical with Brahman. Krishna here explained the impersonal Brahman, in which the renounced order of sages enter. In the Vedic system of knowledge, students from the very beginning are taught the vibration Om and learn of the ultimate impersonal Brahman by living with the spiritual master in the complete celibacy. In this way, they realize two of Brahman's futures. This practice is very essential for the student's advancement in spiritual life, but at the moment such brahmachari, unmarried, celibate life is not at all possible. The social construction of the world has changed so much that there is no possibility of one's practice celibacy from the beginning of student life. Throughout the world, there are many institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no recognized institution where student can be educated in the brahmachari principles. Unless one practices celibacy, advancement in spiritual life is very difficult. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has announced it. According to the spiritual injunction for this age of Kali, that is this age, no process or realization, the supreme is possible except the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama Rama,
Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare.
Okay, thank you. I think someone other I remember commenting on this. So I think we read this last
Yes, I thought
class.
we were on number
'cause-
15, text 15.
Yeah, I think you're correct. But anyway, because I remember specifically I was mentioning about how Prabhupada is explaining that the institution of brahmachari is not possible. Yeah, and I was mentioning that, but actually we see by Prabhupada's grace, even something in Kali Yuga, even something which is considered to be practically impossible, there are brahmachari ashrams which have been established. So I remember mentioning that. But so let's just comment on this then, if anyone has any questions, and then we'll go to 15, is it? I think I must have.
Quick. So if you
Yeah.
are in Grihastha ashram, yeah, you had children, and then that's it. You're not gonna do anything anymore. You don't gonna have any more children, but you're still gonna live with your wife. Then it's still you cannot progress in your spiritual life, because here it says that being married is not really possible to advance in your spiritual life.
Yeah, Prabhupada, where does he say that?
Well, for the students' advancement in spiritual life, but the moment such brahmachari, unmarried celibate, life is not at all possible. The social, if I understand well.
Okay, in the Vedic system of knowledge, students from the very beginning are taught to vibrate Om and learn of the ultimate impersonal Brahman by living with the spiritual master. Can someone please mute in complete celibacy? In this way,
Tired.
1 second. I'll
Apa
get,
tu કરવાનું હોય શું કરો?
oh, it's fine.
Gopi Gita.
Let me go muting. I think it's Gopi Gita.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just. All right. So, yeah, so in this way, they realized these two features of Brahman. So that's Sat, and it's Satchit. Yeah, that means eternity and existence, but without the Ananda. This practice is very essential for the student's advancement in spiritual life. But at the moment, such brahmachari, celibate life is not at all possible. So, how does your question relate to this, Model Mongol?
So I was thinking the moment you're marrying, and then then it's very difficult to develop, isn't it, more spiritually? In a way, I understood that the way he was saying there. But then in the same time, if you have children and once you have children, you don't enjoy yourself. So then it's even more you should develop spiritually, isn't it? Or it's not true?
Oh, let's just take it as your question you're asking. I mean, I don't read that specifically in what Prabhupada's saying here. But definitely, if for sure, there is, for instance, yeah, definitely for sure, Prabhupada has said elsewhere that actually being married can, but not essentially always, it can offer different opportunities to be distracted from spiritual life. That's why it is, as much as possible, it's recommended that one spends at least some time before entering the Grihastha ashram traditionally, then it's good if one practices brahmachari. Yeah, and that will help and assist one. But having said that, I think, as we have mentioned before, if someone has guidance, if someone is sincere, someone has guidance, and they're practicing the basic principles of Krishna consciousness, then there's no reason why one cannot become Krishna conscious, even when married. And practically speaking, most of those who are devotees are married. Yeah. Most devotees, the biggest percentage of those who are practicing Krishna consciousness in the world today are married, and that's only natural. But Prabhupada does, in many places in his purports and in his books, he does explain, he does explain that it may slow down your spiritual advancement, as in compared to being, say, a brahmachari or brahmacharini. Yeah. But that is not necessarily always has to be the case. So I repeat, it's not necessarily always has to be the case. It might well be that some people may make more advancement being married than they do artificially trying to be a brahmachari. Yeah. Because if they're artificially trying to be a brahmachari, but they're meditating on the objects of the senses, yeah, and they're living a restricted life where they don't have much freedom, in one sense. I don't know if freedom's the right word, don't have much independence, then they may find that frustrating. And they won't admit that they should get married, and they cause problems within the brahmachari ashram. When really they should just be honest with themselves and get themselves married and to be correctly situated, and therefore be happy, and therefore make advancement. So that's there as well. So yes, one can still make great spiritual advancements. Sometimes, as I said, sometimes maybe even more than if one was a brahmachari or brahmacharini. Is that, yeah? So that's one angle on that. If anyone else has any comments on this.
I think I've heard somewhere where Prabhupada had said that grahasthas, like sincere grahasthas, can also live like brahmacharini together.
Yeah, very good.
I've
thank you, Chandra. That's called the Prabhupada called it the Grihastha Brahmachari. Yeah. Sorry, Mother Chandra, I cut you off then. You was going to say something else?
No, that's fine.
Yeah. And we have some wonderful examples of Paramahamsas in the Grihastha Ashram, acharyas, you could say, who are inspiring so many hundreds and thousands of devotees. Yep. By their Krishna consciousness. One of them is Vaisheshika Prabhu. Yeah. He's married. He has disciples, and he's and he's married and he has disciples, and he's inspiring so many devotees. And there is other examples as well.
Yeah, Sankarshan Prabhu.
Shankarshan.
Sankarshan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's another one. He has many, many disciples, inspiring many, many devotees throughout the world. Kripamoya.
Prabhu.
Sorry?
Kripamoya Prabhu.
Yeah, Kripamoya Prabhu.
Prabhu, I was thinking to say our whole Guru Parampara is grastas.
Yeah, good point. We have Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, Babaji's, Krishnadas Babaji, or Jagannath Das Babaji, but yeah, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Yeah, so Krishna consciousness is, if practiced with sincerity, it's above the designations or the material designations, doesn't have to be an impediment. Although, again, Prabhupada does say does give warning that it can slow one's spiritual progress down for practical reasons, because you don't have okay, as a brahmachari, if you're correctly situated, say you do service and then you got a whole day to hear and chant. You can chant 32 rounds, you can chant 48 rounds, you can go on a Harinam, you can read for 2 hours, 3 hours, etc., etc. But if you're married, you got to go to work. Okay, so you can listen to lectures, in the car going to work and things like that, or on the train. You can do that, but it's not you sometimes the opportunity is not there as it is in the brahmachari ashram for as much hearing and chanting. Yeah. Like that. So, and there's distractions as well. And we have to say distraction. How can you concentrate on your chanting if how can you concentrate on your chanting if your son is causing a big disruption within the family, whatever that may be. Yeah, so like that. Anyone else has any comments on this? All right, so okay, so let's then move on to 15, shall we? Okay.
We can just carry on.
Okay, let's just carry on with this. Why not? Yeah. Okay. So again, this is Sat Chakra Yoga. I remember discussing that as well. The different raising the life air for different places in the body. And but Prabhupada at the end, as he does, as we mentioned many times, then he gives us so we don't get tempted to practice Sat Chakra Yoga, because it's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. He's mentioning this here in his purport. That is very difficult to practice yoga properly, with the results of it in this day and age. So he says, but there is no recognized institution where students can be educated in the brahmachari principles. But there's ISKCON now. Yeah. Unless one practices celibacy, advancement in spiritual life is very difficult. All right, I think that's what Modern Mongol might have been referring to as well. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has announced, according to the scriptural injunction for this age of Kali, that in this age, no process of realizing the Supreme is possible. Okay. No one comes through the Father except by chanting the holy names of Krishna. Yeah. No other process of realizing the Supreme is possible except the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And just remembering as well, there's these wonderful bhajans by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who says, wherever you're Grihastha, Brahmachari, or Vanaprastha, if you're chanting the holy name of the Lord, I will seek out your association. Prihe Thakur, Vani Thakur. Yeah, whatever. If you're devotee chanting the holy name, I take the dust of the lotus feet upon my head. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings like that. All right. Okay, so let's have a look at text 12. Okay, someone would like to read this one. I think this has got, okay.
I can read.
Go ahead, please. Thank you, Mel.
Yeah. Sarvadvarani samyamya manohirdi nirudyacha murtni yadatmanas parnam astito yoga dharanam. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind upon the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. To practice yoga, as suggested here, one first has to close the doors of all sense enjoyment. This practice is called pratyahara, or withdrawing the senses from the sense objects. The sense organs for acquiring knowledge, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and touch, should be fully controlled and should not be allowed to engage in self-gratification. In this way, the mind focuses on the supersoul in the heart, and the life force is raised to the top of the head. But in the 6th chapter, this process is described in detail. But as mentioned before, this practice is not practical in this age. The best process is Krishna consciousness. If one is always able to fix his mind upon Krishna in devotional service, it is very easy for him to remain in an undisturbed transcendental trance or in samadhi.
Okay, thank you. Savaimana Krishna Pada Vindayo. Prabhupada seems to be paraphrasing this verse. Savaimana Krishna Pada Vindayo. Vajasura Kunta Gunanavanane. Where Maharaj Ambarish always fixed his mind upon the lotus feet of Krishna. Yeah. So it sounds attractive. I don't know about yourselves, but whenever I read about these yogic practices, they sound quite attractive in one sense. Yeah. The practices with withdrawing the senses, the sense organs from, and rising the life air. But practically speaking, it's not possible. It may be possible. Anyway, any questions on this? Prabhupada's again reminding us, actually, the best process is to always fix the mind on Krishna in devotional service. Yeah, especially done through the chanting of the Maha Mantra.
Is that not possible to practice because our life is so short?
Yeah.
Let's say past the life, it was maybe 500 years, 1,000 years. So then you were developed more and you could practice it properly. When here you are like a little baby, you are 90 years old or 60, 70, and you are considered like a baby, and already you need to go because you didn't really mature yourself enough because everything is short.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it out. That's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, that in this age of Kali, we are short-lived. Prayena apaso sabya kala asmin yuge janaha manda sumanda matayo manda upagyo upadritaha. In this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They're quarrelsome, troubled, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So the sages are asking, please explain how persons in this age of Kali can achieve perfection. Then we have the Bhagavatam. So yes, the real practice of yoga, you need you need a fantastic lifespan of hundreds of years, actually. Yes, and that's not available to us. It's very short. Anybody else? Yeah. Okay, let's read text 13. Someone like to read text 13? And this is the last verse explaining Yoga Mishra Bhakti. And the next verse is Krishna is going to be describing the principle of pure devotional service.
I can read another one.
Yeah, go ahead. Why not? No one's...
No one else, if no one wants to read, I can read another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that one was quite a small one. Amitye kaksaram brahma vyaharan mam anusmaran ya prayati tyajandeham sayati praramam gatim. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is clearly stated here that Om, Brahman, and Lord Krishna are non-different. The impersonal sound of Krishna is Om, but the sound Hare Krishna contains Om. That chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is clearly recommended for this age. So if one quits his body at the end of life, chanting Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He certainly reaches one of the spiritual planets according to the mode of his practice. The devotees of Krishna enter the Krishna planet, Goloka Vrindavan. For the personalists, there are also innumerable other planets known as the Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky, whereas the impersonalists remain in the Brahma Jyoti.
Yes, thank you, Baba. I remember also, I remember reading this as well. It's interesting how memory works, you know, this was 3 weeks ago, but just going over this again, I just remembered because I asked a question about Om. Remember that? It's just, okay, so where is Om in the Hare Krishna mantra?
Gayatri can answer here. Gayatri Mataji, she can answer. She's the one.
Say again?
Gayatri can answer here. She was the one who was who
I'm
told
on
us.
the bus, you won't hear me, so you can just repeat what I said.
Okay, what did she say, Mother Mongol? Test you now.
At Hare Krishna, it is in Om. So in Hare Krishna, you find Om itself. So you don't need to chant Om. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's correct.
basically. Yeah, is that correct, Mother Gayatri?
Yes, primeval sound is included in Krishna because Krishna is everywhere. Primordial.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so it is. It is included within Krishna. Yeah, included within. There is no lacking at all by chanting Krishna's name. Yeah. The sound Hare Krishna contains Krishna. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. So this is recommended for this age. Yeah, anyway, one of the wonderful things of being in the Holy Dham, you know, everyone you see practically has a bead bag in their hand, you know, and tilak on their forehead. I mean, everyone. You know, sometimes I appreciate in Mayapur that you don't see a non-devotee. You just don't see anyone who's not a devotee of Krishna. Everyone, you know. Yeah. So the chanting, yeah, why did I bring that out? Yeah, this recommended in this age. Yeah. So that the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra is clearly recommended for this age. So if one quits his body at the end of life, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, he will reach the spiritual planets. And then Prabhupada gives a choice of which spiritual planets you may go to. So he's speaking generally here. The devotees of Krishna enter the Krishna planet, Goloka Vrindavan. But there's also other planets for the personalists, yeah, in different Vaikuntha planets, whereas the impersonalists remaining Brahma Jyoti. Yeah. Okay, any other question here?
Can I say quick something? Sorry.
Please.
I was in a lecture. They were saying that you need to know to which Godhead you are actually meditating on. Because otherwise you will not know actually where you're going. You're going, but where you go.
Yeah, that's quite a big subject, which we're reading about in Sankara Kaumudi. Yeah, Satya and Sadhana. Yeah, you're all chanting the Maha Mantra. Yes, but where specifically, what particular meditation or what particular desire is invested in your chanting of the Maha Mantra. Yeah, the Maha Mantra is a wish-fulfilling desire tree. So you can chant it and go to Vaikuntha. In any one of the Vaikuntha planets, you can chant it and go to Dwarka. Yeah. So specifically, we are as Gaudiya Vaishnavas following Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we hopefully are chanting with the mood, we are chanting that mantra with the mood of entering to Goloka Vrindavan. That's why I made that point. It's in Prabhupada here as being giving in a general description. But elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says, I think it's in chapter 9, which is the next chapter. And he's saying in the two places, one should think of no other form other than Krishna, Shyama Sundara, in Vrindavan, playing his flute with lotus eyes. One shouldn't be distracted to any other form of the Lord. Prabhupada says that in the purple. And in other places, Prabhupada says Prabhupada explains, one may meditate on different forms of the Lord and Shringadev. But here, that's why it's good to study Prabhupada's books, because you can see where he's actually directing devotees actually towards Goloka Vrindavan. Although he does speak of the general principle, like he's speaking, and generally one reaches one of the spiritual planets. So Madhu Mangal has brought out this. So what Madhu Mangal is mentioned is here in this sentence here, according to the mode of practice. Yeah.
I thought I would share something.
Yeah. One thing, 1 minute, Nitai, I just want to bring this up, because if we read this, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. He certainly reaches one of the spiritual planets. But then according to the mode of his practice. Yeah. So Prabhupada is indicating something else here. And then he explains, according to the mode of his practice, you may go to Goloka Vrindavan. This is by chanting Hare Krishna, or also innumerable other planets, according to, so it's highlighting around it, according to the mode of practice. So Madhu Mangal's heard a lecture where this was emphasized. Yeah. Nitai Mata, yes, sorry, I cut you off. Please go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry, I just this is something similar to what I heard. I think Sunday morning class at Soho, one Birmingham devotee. I just vaguely heard because I was because of my internet basically, and he said they were discussing with another devotee about this topic, and that devotee explained there was a devotee in Russia. He met with an accident or something, a nearly death experience. And
he had an accident, sorry?
Yes, accident.
Okay, yeah.
And, he was leaving the body, and then he has to go to Vaikunta. He said to him, I don't want to go to Vaikunta. Why Vaikunta? So, and he said, no, because that's what you have been doing. This is what your mood was that. And then Srila Prabhupada to come. And then Srila Prabhupada explained it to him. Somehow he survived. He didn't go. Yeah. And so he was explaining this in a Sunday morning, Bhagavatam class, this one.
All right. So if I understood it correctly, devotee was in the process of leaving his body.
Yeah.
And he was on his way, it seemed, to Vaikunta.
Yeah,
but he didn't want to go to Vaikunta.
No. He said, no, why should I go to Vaikunta?
And then Prabhupada appeared and
he has to explain, you have been chanting with that mood.
Yeah.
And so it is, I really felt when he was speaking about it, this is what he was saying. And he explained afterwards, this is what happened. And he was very serious. Now he doesn't want to make this mistake again.
Thank you. It's a nice story. It must be quite a test for a devotee where the doors of Vaikuntha are open to you. And you choose not to go. Yeah. You choose not to go to one of the innumerable Vaikuntha planets. Rather, you want to go to Goloka. Yeah, you actually make that choice. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that. It's a nice, interesting. Any other questions on this? Comments? So I guess it must have been, it'd be interesting what that meant. Because dreams are a little bit, they're based a lot of dreams, you've got to be careful how you may interpret them, but let's just take it for granted, face value. So what was his practice? What was his devotee's practice then, as he was chanting a Maha Mantra? I would speculate that he wasn't focused on any particular sadhya, any specific detail perfection. He's just chanting Hare Krishna. I
And
hope to go back.
piety.
Yeah, sorry?
And collecting piety to go to Vaikuntha, you know.
Yeah,
When-
maybe.
I think desiring opulence as well.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
don't know the desiring, but the mood would be you chanting, but like you're not serious about what you want to do, where you want to go on specific points, you know?
yeah. So then, yeah, you hadn't specifically read in detail Prabhupada's books in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, or you hadn't become particularly attracted to the worship, or you hadn't become attracted to the worship or to the Krishna consciousness of the residents of Vrindavan
Yeah.
specifically, and the way and methods and means that they worship Krishna in a very personal, very intimate way. Yeah, so instead one may be just chanting Hare Krishna, taking darshan of the deities and having no specific. Of course, it's not bad. You get offered to go to Vaikuntha. It's pretty good. Yeah.
And most of the devotees are in that kind of state, and they're doing nice service, chanting so they can hear the Maha Mantra, you know, so they feel they're very comfortable, you know. But
Yeah.
since we're studying Sankalpa Kumudi, where we really need to get into deeper level of chanting.
Yeah.
But that's what we need.
And also the Brihat Bhagavatam Rita as
Yes.
well. It highlights this, which is what the Sankalpa Kumudi is based on. Madhu Mango, yes, please.
Sorry. That's why I think we need very much connection with our Guru Maharaj and our mentors, and so they can guide us and show us where actually maybe we are heading, or what we are more interested or focused on, because sometimes we cannot identify ourselves, but maybe a certain service we like a lot, and then they can inspire us. Look, maybe you like this to read, or maybe you like to do this, and then they can inspire a little bit more, and you can realize them and understand them more.
Yeah, so they may give you a specific direction. Now, it's not as if you know, if you're designed to go to Vaikuntha, it's a big apparat and it's wrong. No, if that's your desire, if you feel more comfortable in worshipping Radha Krishna, married, or Radha Krishna, or in reverence, then there's also it's called we're reading Brihat Bhagavatamrita. There's a place called Vaikuntha Goloka, where it's not Lakshmi Narayan, it's Radha Krishna, but they're married, duly married, yeah, and they're worshipped with a sense of with some sense of reverence, you know. There's that's there as well. It's all in Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Yes, so you see, we're having a discussion just on this 4 words here, according to the mode of his practice. Yeah, so we brought out many nice things. Nitai Mata mentioned this dream this devotee had, and these other points are coming out, you know. Right, anything else on this? All right, let's go to text 14. So again, I mentioned, yeah, so now reading some notes here from Buddhijan. Having explained the practices of yoga, Mishra Bhakti, where one's bhakti is covered with the practice of yoga, or how one attached to yoga and liberation can remember him, Krishna next discusses pure devotional service. Okay, so wow, big purple. All right, let me have a read, and I'll stop at each paragraph in the time that we have. Okay. Ananya cheta satatam yo mam smarati nityasaha tasyaham sulabha pata nityayuktasya yoganaha. So ananda cheta, so without deviation of the mind. Yeah. Okay. But you could say, you could put a but here, considering the last verses we just read. For one who always remembers me, that means Krishna, standing in front of Arjuna with two arms, without deviation, oh, I am easy to obtain, O son of Prtha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Okay, so no need to do Sat Chakra Yoga, etc., etc. You just smartaram, you just remember Krishna. Yeah, he will then one. He is easy to obtain. Purple. This verse especially describes the final destination attained by the unalloyed devotee who serves the personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga. So, hope you don't mind me stopping here and there, but unalloyed means there's no mishra, okay? It's not mixed with anything. Like one time, Srila Prabhupada, he was on a morning walk, and he was walking with the devotees, and he stopped, and he pointed his cane at a big advertisement. It said, unalloyed still. So Prabhupada said, yes, this is what we want. And he pointed, unalloyed. He was making that point. So unalloyed. So alloyed means it's a metal that has something else in it. It's iron, but it may have copper in it. But unalloyed still means it's just steel. There's no other, nothing is mixed in there. It's just the pure steel. So Prabhupada said, yes, this is what we want. Unalloyed bhakti. So here, this verse, sorry?
That sounds like we need to purify our body and we should have only metal, one type of metal inside.
Yeah,
Not
so you could say, yeah, good point, Mother Mongo. Like where, you know, how they make different metals, they have a crucible and they put it under high temperature and they melt it all. And then with gold and it brings out all the impurities. So we're practicing bhakti, so it's like a crucible. We're getting all the impurities are coming out and being purified. So it becomes unalloyed. At the moment, we could say that as conditioned souls, that our bhakti is alloyed at the moment. It's got some mishra in it. So we're looking to make it unalloyed. So this verse, and there's a special destination for those persons. This verse especially describes the final destination attained by the unalloyed devotee who serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga. Previous verses have mentioned 4 different kinds of devotees. Yeah, that's Chato Vida Bhajanti Mam. The distressed, the inquisitive, those who seek material gain, and the speculative philosophers. That's in chapter 7, I think. Different processes of liberation have also been described. So not just in this chapter, through the previous chapters, okay? Karma Yoga, chapter 3. Jnana Yoga, chapter, also could say chapter 6. And Hatha Yoga, chapter 6. Jnana Yoga throughout. Then Hatha Yoga, chapter 6. That the principles of the yoga systems have some bhakti added. So bhakti is in there, but there's other things in there as well. But this verse particularly mentions pure bhakti yoga without any mixture of kam, gan, or hatha. Anyone know a verse which exemplifies this? A very famous verse from the Nectar of Devotion. Any Bhakti Sastri students? Anyabilasata sanyam gana kamadi anavritam anukulena krishnano silanam bhakti uttama. That is the uttam bhakti. Yeah. As indicated by the word ananya chetaha. In pure bhakti yoga, the devotee desires nothing but Krishna. A pure devotee does not desire promotion to the heavenly planets. There's something in it. Oh, sorry, something in the chat there, but a pure devotee does not desire promotion to the heavenly planets, nor does he seek oneness with the Brahma Jyoti or salvation or liberation from material entanglement. A pure devotee does not desire anything. A pure devotee does not desire anything except to please Krishna, okay, or his devotees. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Nishkama. Yeah. So that verse of Buddha's paraphrasing it, Nishkama Shanta, means that only those who are trying to achieve liberation, etc., they are all not peaceful. But only the devotee is peaceful, because he's nishkama. He has no other, he's not desiring something for himself. He's just so full of love for Krishna, he wants to serve. Isn't it? I guess we can try and give a material example, but if anyone been in love before? You want to do something to please them. You're infatuated and you want to please them. So yeah, so in a Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Nishkam, which means he has no desire for self-interest. Shakalaya Shanta, that verse finishes like that. Sakalaya Shanta, that person is Shanta, is peaceful. Perfect peace belongs to him alone. So Prabhupada is paraphrasing this verse here. Not to them who strive for personal gain, whereas a Jnana yogi, Karma yogi, or Hatha yogi has his own selfish interests. A perfect devotee has no desire other than to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord says that for anyone who is unflinchingly avibicharena, is unflinchingly devoted to him, he is easy to obtain. All right? So Prabhupada is interesting. He often says this. In 926, in the verse Patram Puspam Phalam Tayam, Prabhupada says about, by offering with love and devotion. Prabhupada says it's very easy. You just have to be a pure devotee. So here he's saying, if you are unflinchingly engaged in Krishna, then he's easy to obtain. But we have a tendency to flinch. But if your bhakti is unflinching, then Krishna is easy to obtain. But, any comments on that first paragraph? You see how Prabhupada is really bringing out pure devotion here. We can make it very clear. Please, anyone has any comments, anything to add, then please interrupt me at any time. Okay, continuing. A pure devotee always engages in devotional service to Krishna in one of his various personal features. Okay, so Prabhupada is speaking generally here again. Krishna has various plenary expansions and incarnations such as Ram and Nrsimha. And a devotee can choose to fix his mind in loving service to any of these transcendental forms of the Supreme Lord. So this is what I was referring to before. It's actually right here. But in other places, Prabhupada says one should not think of any other form of the Lord other than Shyamasundara Krishna in Vrindavan. Yeah. So he says, such as Ram and Nrsimha, and a devotee can choose to fix his mind in loving service to any of these transcendental forms of the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee meets with none of the problems that plague the practitioners of other yogas. So Prabhupada is, he's speaking in such a way that he's attracting all types of devotees to the practice of bhakti, whether it's Lord Ram or Lord Nrsimha. Yeah. Such a devotee meets with none of the problems that plague the practitioners of other yogas. Bhakti yoga is very simple and pure and easy to perform. one can begin simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Yeah, is it difficult? No, Mother Mongo's saying no, it's not. The Lord is merciful to all, but as we have already explained, he is especially inclined to those who always serve him without devotion, especially inclined. The Lord helps such devotees in various ways, as stated in the Vedas, Katha Upanishad. Yam Ivash Eva Isha Vrinote Tena Lapyas Tashesha Atma Vivnute Tanim Swam. One who is fully surrendered and engaged in the devotional service, times shot away again, of the Supreme Lord can understand the Supreme Lord as he is. And as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Gadami Buddhi Yogam Tam 10:10, the Lord gives such a devotee sufficient intelligence so that ultimately the devotee can attain him in his spiritual kingdom. Anyone know 10:10? It's part of them.
Isn't it the one that said Tesam Satatam Yuktanam?
Go on, say the whole verse.
Tesam Satatam Yuktanam Bhajami? No, I can't remember.
Pujatam Pudipurvakam,
Dadami Buddhi Yogam Mam
Yena Mam,
Upayante.
yeah, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. I give the understanding. So Krishna's, why? Because he's specially inclined. So that the devotee can ultimately, it's nice, isn't it? Krishna's going to give you the intelligence how to come to him. Yeah. So that you can attain him in his spiritual kingdom. Krishna's going to tell you how to do that if you're engaged in bhakti. Okay. Again, please, anyone, feel free to interrupt. All right, this next paragraph looks interesting. Just in staying in the holy Dham. The special qualification of the pure devotee is that he is always thinking of Krishna without deviation and without considering the time or place. There should be no impediments. So these are the principles of pure devotion. Yeah, there's no impediments regardless of time or place. He should be able to carry out his service anywhere and at any time. Some say that the devotee should remain in the holy places like Vrindavan or some holy town where the Lord lived. But a pure devotee can live anywhere and create the atmosphere of Vrindavan by his devotional service. It was Sri Advaita who told Lord Chaitanya, wherever you are, O Lord, there is Vrindavan. Yeah, Chatnama. There's verses actually described. There's isn't it in Nectar of Instruction? The instruction from Rupa Goswami is that one should live in Vrindavan, specifically on the banks of Radhakund. Yeah, that instruction is there. But then Prabhupada, he does explain in the purple this principle here. It may not be possible. So therefore, one should create an atmosphere of Vrindavan in one's home, pictures, deities offering to Krishna, etc. You can live anywhere in that regard. Yeah, one create an atmosphere of Vrindavan by his or her devotional service. It was Sri Advaita who told Lord Chaitanya, wherever you are, O Lord, there is Vrindavan. Any questions or comments about this?
Doesn't Krishna say somewhere that I am where my holy name is chanted?
Yeah, many
It's
places.
going on.
Yeah.
He manifests there.
But there are devotees who will take advantage. There are some who may take advantage of the last stages of their life and the last years of their life. They may live in the holy dhams. Yes. So it doesn't mean it's wrong to have that desire to live in the holy dham. Some devotees, it may be that in the last stages of life, they want to be in the holy Dharma. We have examples of that. And now it's, when I was in Vrindavan and in Mayapur, you can see there's Prabhupada disciples now who are in their 70s. Quite a few of them are settling in the holy Dharma. Yeah, for the last stages in life, you know. Some in Mayapur, like in Mayapur, we have Rameshwaras in Mayapur. Who else? Other Prabhupada disciples are there. Forget now, but there's others there. And in Vrindavan, there's many Prabhupada disciples there. Who's Shrutakirti, you know, Brahmananda left in Vrindavan, you know. So when Prabhupada created these Vrindavan and Mayapur for that purpose as well. So that's there as well. Oh, 7 o'clock. Let's have a look. All right, should we rush through this or should we just?
Yeah, can we finish it, please?
Okay. As indicated by the words, we can go over a couple of minutes because we haven't had a class for 3 weeks. So means we can take advantage.
We can read Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. As indicated by the words satatam and nitya saha, which means always, regularly, or every day. So, yeah. A pure devotee constantly remembers Krishna and meditates upon him. These are qualifications of the pure devotee for whom the Lord is most easily attainable. Bhakti Yoga is a system that the Gita recommends above all others. Okay, if you hadn't got that, Prabhupada's making that clear. Bhakti Yoga is a system that the Gita recommends above all others. Generally, the Bhakti Yogis are engaged in 5 different ways. Shanta Bhakta, engaged in devotional service in neutrality. Dasya Bhakta, engaged in devotional service as servant. Sakya Bhakta, engaged as friend. Vatsalya Bhakta, engaged as parent. And Madhurya Bhakta, engaged as conjugal lover of the Supreme Lord. All right, so we're not at this stage. We may not be at that stage yet where we're worshipping Krishna in one of these rasas. Yeah. Interesting. Probably generally the bhakti yogis. So we're aspiring to be bhakti yogis. Okay. So as we become more purified, we will fall into one of these categories and worship Krishna accordingly. Engage as a parent, and Madhurya Bhakta engage as conjugal lover of the Supreme Lord in any of these ways. The pure devotee is always constantly engaged in a transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord and cannot forget the Supreme Lord. And so for him, the Lord, Prabhupada mentions again, is easily attained. For always remembering him. A pure devotee cannot forget the Supreme Lord for a moment. And similarly, the Supreme Lord cannot forget his pure devotee for a moment. This is the great blessing of the Krishna conscious process of chanting the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay. Nice purple, isn't it? Wonderful. Hare Krishna. Any final comments or questions?
There's that slok where that sentence about my devotee lives in me and I will live in my devotee.
I was thinking of that as well as I was reading it. That's in the pastime with Maharaj, Ambarish, and Devasa Muni. Yeah, we know that wonderful pastime where. Actually, I saw one temple in India did a play of this, you know, based on the book by Shiva Ram Swami, you know. Yeah, so in there, that's sloka. Okay. Shall we pause there? We won't stop because this is Nitya, this is eternal, this reading of Bhagavad Gita. We'll just pause, okay? And we'll continue next week.
So we do pray Bhagavad Gita tomorrow?
Yeah, those who are Brihat Bhagavatamrita fans, we have a reading tomorrow and pick that up. That'd be very nice. So please join us. Yeah. So thank you everyone for sharing this reading of Bhagavad Gita. Nice discussion, wonderful. So let's pick it up next week on text 15. Okay.
Yep. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Grace Murli Manohar Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhu, thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Krishna,
Bol.
Hare Krishna, Jai, Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you.
Bol. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Ram. And press the red button, and we're all going to be in our own little worlds. And whoosh, and for all.